Sometimes people see, but don't see where they look, but don't understand, especially when it comes to value. Garage, dark garage, showing 6 tarps covering 6 cars under dusty tarps, silent and waiting. My son Kevin is standing in the doorway, where he wrinkles his nose. "Dad, this place sucks with dust, rust, and old metal smell, so why are they here?" "Kevin, those cars," I start. "Dad, junk! It's all junk. A pile of rust from the 1960s. They're taking up space. Let's sell them to the junkyard for maybe $3,000. Clear out the garage and I'll build a gym, a home gym that's modern," he declares. $3,000 for 6 cars. $3,000. I smile with bitter smile because Kevin doesn't know that under those 6 tarps is $12 million. But Kevin only sees junk. 1967 Ferrari 275 GTB/4 worth $3.8 million, where Kevin says junk. 1967 Shelby GT 500 worth $2.5 million, where Kevin says taking up space. Mercedes 300S SL Gullwing worth $2.2 million with wing doors and legend, where Kevin says rust heap. And 3 more cars where each one is hundreds of thousands and some millions. And all of them are my 40-year passion, with 40 years of work, where every bolt, every paint job, and every part I did as I restored them and gave them life. But Kevin just sees junk because it's not new, it's not shiny, and it's not modern, so it's worthless. Tomorrow the scrap dealer will come, Johnny Martino, who'll see the garage, lift the tarps, and Kevin will learn the most expensive lesson. This is me, Frank Donovan, 66 years old from Michigan, and this story is about a $12 million collection my son called junk, and the painful lesson he'll learn. Because value isn't always visible, where sometimes it's under a tarp, quietly waiting to be appreciated. If these kinds of true stories interest you and you want to listen dramas about family, please subscribe to the channel, because every day we share life-changing true events that are shocking and emotional. Every passion starts somewhere, and mine began in a small repair shop in 1970, 48 years ago. My name is Frank Donovan, and I'm 66 years old, but the story began when I was 18. In 1970, Michigan, Detroit, the automotive city with cars everywhere and repair shops on every corner as working-class city. I had graduated from high school and was looking for work where my father worked in a factory. "Frank, come to the factory because good money and they're hiring." But I wanted something different, not a factory and not an assembly line, because I wanted cars, real cars, to understand them, to fix them, and to love them. Vinny's Auto Shop, a small repair shop run by Vinny Rossi, Italian immigrant at 50 years old as master mechanic. "I want a job," I said. "I love cars, and I want to learn." Vinny looked at me long. "Any experience?" "No, but I'm hardworking and I'll learn fast," I assured. He laughed. "All right, kid, start, but it's little pay with lots of work. So are you ready?" "I'm ready," I confirmed. First day brought oil change as simple job, but I learned carefully. Second day brought brake repair as harder job, but I did it. Vinny was watching. "Frank, you're a good kid who's patient and careful, and you'll be a good mechanic." I worked at Vinny's for 3 years, from 1970 to 1973, every day, from morning till night, where I learned engines, transmissions, brakes, electrical, and everything. But what I really learned was love, a love of cars, because Vinny loved old cars. "Frank, look at that 65 Mustang where the customer called it junk. But I see it showing potential and beauty because it just needs faithful love and care," Vinny observed. We restored that Mustang, taking 6 months with every weekend. But the result was amazing, as shiny, powerful, and like new. "See, Frank? This isn't just a car, but art, passion, and love," he stated. That day I understood that cars aren't just metal, but stories with soul and value. In 1973, I met Martha at cafe during morning coffee where she was a waitress, pretty with brown hair and green eyes. "Good morning. What can I get you?" she asked. "Coffee black and your number if possible," I replied. She smiled with sweet smile. "Bold. I like that. So okay after the coffee." 6 months later, we got married in small wedding with family and friends. Simple but happy. Very happy. Martha understood me and my passion. "Frank, you love cars, don't you?" "Yes, I love them, especially classic cars and old cars because they're beautiful," I confirmed. "Then do it and follow your passion because I'll support you," she encouraged. In 1975 came the big day with my first classic car, a 1963 Corvette Stingray split window. I saw an ad in an old newspaper. "For sale, 1963 Corvette, wrecked, $2,500. I showed it to Martha. "Look, a Corvette that's wrecked but restorable, and this is my dream." "How much?" she asked. $2,500. I know that's a lot of money as our savings," I started. "Buy it, Frank. Buy it because this is your dream, and dreams are worth it," she insisted. I bought that Corvette as a wreck where the engine was shot, the paint was peeling, and the interior was torn, but it was beautiful. I took it to our garage, a small garage as home garage for one car. "This is your workshop now," Martha said. "Work and create." It took 10 years from 1975 to 1985. 10 years with every weekend and every holiday where I took the engine apart, cleaned it, and repaired it with every part carefully and patiently. Paint came as professional paint for $2,000, expensive but worth it, as bright red and original red. Interior upholstery came as leather, black leather, where I did it myself by learning from books. In 1985 it was finished where the Corvette was ready as perfect, shiny, powerful, and beautiful. Martha cried, "Frank, this is amazing because you're an artist, a real artist." That Corvette was like my first child, my first achievement, and my first love. In 1978, Kevin was born. My son Kevin, as beautiful baby, healthy and happy. Martha is at the hospital. "Frank, he's your son, and he'll love cars as much as you do." "I hope so, where I hope he will, and we'll restore them together as father and son," I replied. But Kevin was different, where as he grew up, he drifted away from cars. In 1982, I found a new car, a 1967 Shelby GT 500, as legendary car based on Mustang, but Shelby modified with power, speed, and beauty. I got it for $8,000 as good price where it needed restoration, but was in good shape. Kevin was 4. "Son, look. New car, Shelby GT 500. We'll restore it together." He looked uninterested. "Old car, Dad, not new, and I like new." Heartbroken, but I didn't push it. "Okay, son, maybe when you're older." In 1987, I found a 1961 Jaguar E-Type in British racing green as gorgeous car that came from England for $12,000. Expensive but rare. Kevin is 9 years old. "Dad? My friends' dads are buying new Lexuses and new BMWs, so why are you messing with old things?" "Because, Kevin, old things are sometimes more valuable than new ones with history, story, and art," I explained. "But Dad, nobody uses them where they just sit in the garage, so what's the point?" he questioned. "Value isn't in using them, Kevin, but in preserving them. Preserving history and preserving beauty," I stated. He didn't get it, and he never got it. The 1990s came when the collection grew with a 1955 Mercedes 300 SL Gullwing for $25,000 as my most expensive purchase, but the most beautiful with gullwing doors and legendary design. A 1973 Porsche 911 Carrera RS for $18,000 in yellow and white as classic color. 6 cars total, where I expanded the garage from 2-car garage to 6-car garage as custom garage, that's air-conditioned with humidity controlled where every car is protected under a cover. Martha supported me. Frank, these are your children, your metal children, so take care of them. I laughed. Yes, Martha, my babies. Kevin is 16 when he got his license. Dad, I need a car to get to school. Okay, there are 6 cars in the garage, so pick one and use it, I offered. Dad, those cars are old. I want a new one, a Honda Civic that's modern and reliable, he protested. But Kevin, there's a Porsche and there's a Shelby where these are legendary cars, I started. Dad, they're museum pieces. I want something for everyday use. A normal car, he interrupted. I got it. A new Honda Civic for $15,000 where Kevin was happy. But the classic cars stayed in the garage alone. In 2012, Martha got sick with stomach cancer at advanced stage 3. Frank, said the doctor, we can treat it with chemotherapy and maybe surgery, but it's difficult, very difficult. Martha was strong. Frank, I'll fight because I'll fight for you where the cars can't leave you alone and I won't leave you. 2 years of fighting came with chemotherapy and radiotherapy where Martha lost her hair and became very weak, but she fought bravely. Kevin came by occasionally where he lived in Boston in automotive industry at sales department with good job and good salary. Dad, how's Mom? He'd ask. She's fine, son, strong and fighting, I'd reply. Dad, how are you coping? Are you alone? He'd question. I'm coping where the cars are there and I spend time with them as relaxing, I explained. Are you still messing around with those old cars, Dad? Sell them because we need money where treatment is expensive, he suggested. Kevin, those cars aren't for sale because they're my passion and my life, and I won't sell them, I stated firmly. Dad, you're talking about passion, but Mom needs money where chemotherapy costs $10,000 a month, and cars are just metal, he argued. Kevin, you have money including savings and insurance, but the cars are my soul and I won't sell them, I insisted. Kevin shook his head where he didn't understand, and he never did. November 2014 came when Martha died at 62 years old, where 41 years of marriage were over. The funeral was a small funeral with family and friends, where Kevin came with his wife, Sarah. Dad, I'm sorry, so sorry. And Mom was a wonderful woman, Kevin stated. Yes, Kevin. She was the best because she understood me, understood my passion, and supported me where she always supported me, I acknowledged. Dad, what will you do now? You'll be alone in that big house alone, he observed. I'll manage where the cars are there, and I'll spend time with them, I replied. Sarah, Kevin's wife, whispered where I heard her. Kevin, those cars, are they worthless or are they valuable? Kevin answered, old cars from the 1960s, maybe $5,000 for all of them, where Dad keeps them as a hobby, with emotional attachment, but no real value. No real value. That's what Kevin thought about 6 cars with 40 years of work showing no real value. In 2015, a year had passed since Martha's death, when Kevin called. Dad, a suggestion where you live alone in big house, which is hard, so I bought a new house in Boston that's modern with 3 bedrooms, and live with us because Sarah wants it too, he proposed. Kevin, I'm fine, and I'm comfortable in my house where I have a garage and the cars are here, I replied. Dad, those cars are just old metal, so move them or sell them to make some money, then come with us and relax, he urged. Kevin, those cars can't be moved because they need a special garage with air conditioning and humidity control where they're very sensitive, I explained. Dad, please, they're cars. Put them in our garage, no problem, he insisted. Kevin's garage, how many cars does it hold? I questioned. 2 cars, but that's enough where you put 2 cars in and sell the others, he suggested. Kevin, there are 6 cars where all of them are special, and all of them are valuable, so I'm not selling them, I stated. Dad, You say they're valuable, but nobody uses them where they're just taking up space, so sell them, and maybe you'll get $5,000 as good money, he reasoned. $5,000 for 6 cars. $5,000 total. Kevin, I'll think about it, and I'll let you know, I said. I thought about it for a month by going to Martha's grave. Martha, Kevin wants me to live with him, but the cars are our children, so how can I leave them? No answer came, but I knew Martha would have wanted it. Be with Kevin because family is important. I called Kevin. Okay, son, I'll come, but the cars are coming with me, all of them. Dad, there's a 2-car garage where 6 cars won't fit, he protested. Then they'll stay in Michigan where I'll visit often, and I'll come see you, I proposed. Dad, that's ridiculous, because you'll be in Boston, where Michigan is far away, and the cars will rot there. So sell them because it's over, he argued. I won't sell them, Kevin. They're my life's work. 40 years of effort, I shouted. Fine, fine, stay in Michigan and stay with your cars and stay alone, he stated. He hung up the phone. I cried where for the first time in years I cried because Kevin didn't understand at all where the cars weren't just metal, but passion, love, and life. In 2016, Kevin called again 6 months later. Dad, I'm sorry because I was harsh, so come where the cars can stay in Michigan and it's fine. But you come and don't be alone. Okay, Kevin, I'll come, but sometimes I'll go to Michigan because the cars need maintenance and they need to be checked, I agreed. Okay, Dad, whatever you want, he accepted. May 2016 came when I moved to Boston to Kevin's house, a modern house that's minimalist with everything white, glass, metal, and sterile. Dad, welcome. This is your room. Make yourself comfortable, Kevin greeted. The room was small but clean and enough with a view of the city from the window. The first week was good, where Kevin was attentive, and Sarah was kind with meals together, conversation, and family. But after the 3rd week, it changed where Kevin became less attentive and Sarah became more distant. Dad, I have work today where there's food in the fridge, so eat and we'll be home in the evening, he'd say. I was alone in the house where I watched TV and read a book, but the cars were so far away in Michigan, 900 miles away. December 2016 came when I went to Michigan for a visit to the cars, as the first visit 7 months later. I opened the garage showing 6 tarps covering 6 cars, where I lifted the first tarp showing Ferrari, red Ferrari, still perfect, shiny, and beautiful. I ran my hand over it on the hood with soft touch. Hello, my beauty, I missed you. I missed you so much. I checked every car, including the engine, the tires, and the interior, everything, and all good. But they were alone and abandoned like me. I stayed in Michigan for a week where I started the cars one by one with the sound of the engine, the magnificent sound showing the sound of power and the sound of life. Kevin called. Dad, when are you coming back? Sarah is wondering. A few more days because the cars need maintenance, I replied. Dad, those cars are in Michigan and you're in Boston, where you can't keep going back and forth because it's not logical, he argued. Kevin, those cars are my responsibility and I have to take care of them, I stated. Dad, sell them because that hobby is over now where you're retired, so rest and don't mess with cars, he suggested. Sell again, always sell. The years 2017 to 2018 passed, 2 years in Boston, where I went to Michigan 4 times a year, and every time Kevin grumbled, Dad, are you going again? You're addicted to those cars. May the 2019 came Friday morning, when Kevin was getting ready for work while drinking coffee. Dad, let's go to Michigan this weekend together because I want to see the garage, he proposed. I was surprised because for the first time Kevin wanted to see the garage. Really? You want to come? Yes, Dad. I'm curious about what cars are there, and I want to see them, he confirmed. I was happy, very happy. Great, son. Let's go on Saturday. I'll show you every car. I'll tell you their stories. Saturday morning came with Kevin's car from Boston to Michigan, 9 hours on the road. On the way, Kevin spoke up. Dad, those cars, are they valuable? I mean, as in money? Yes, Kevin, very valuable as restored classics that are rare where collectors are looking for them, I explained. How valuable? Roughly? He pressed. Each one is different where Ferrari is very valuable, Shelby too, and Mercedes Gullwing is very rare too, I described. Total, Dad. How much total? He questioned. I paused. Kevin, why are you asking? Curiosity, just curiosity, where you've worked on them for years, and I want to know their value, he explained. Total is a few $1,000,000 total, maybe more, I revealed. Kevin was stunned, really surprised. A few million? Dad, you're a retired mechanic, so how do you have a collection worth a few $1,000,000? Because, Kevin, I saved for 40 years where I restored them, I appraised them, and I invested. And every car is now worth 10 times, 20 times what it was, I explained. Kevin was quiet for a long quiet where he thought and calculated. We arrived in Michigan at 6 in the evening as the sky was starting to darken. We stopped in front of the garage, a big garage with metal door and lock. Dad, open it and let's see, Kevin requested. I opened it by turning the key where the door slowly opened and it was dark inside. Then I turned on the light. 6 tarps showing white tarps covering 6 cars, silent and waiting. Kevin stepped inside and looked around. Dad, which ones are they? Each one is Special Son, where the first tarp is a 1967 Ferrari 275 GTB/4, my queen, I explained. The others? He asked. A Shelby GT 500, a Mercedes Gullwing, a Jaguar E-Type, a Porsche Carrera RS, and a Corvette Stingray, I listed. Kevin touched the cover, the Ferrari's cover. Dad, that Ferrari, is it really valuable? Very valuable, Kevin. Maybe the most valuable, I confirmed. How much? He pressed. At auction, it sells for $3.8 million, where mine is in perfect condition, so maybe more, I revealed. Kevin froze. 3.8 million? For a car? Yes, Kevin, a Ferrari 275 GTB/4, where only 150 were made as very rare, I stated. Kevin pointed to the other covers. The others? How much are they? I explained each car with its value. Shelby at 2.5 million, Mercedes at 2.2 million, Jaguar at 400,000, Porsche at 1.1 million, and Corvette at 250,000. Kevin calculated by taking out his phone with calculator where he added it up. Dad, the total is $12 million. Yes, Kevin, about 12 million and maybe more because auction values are rising, I confirmed. Kevin looked at me strangely. Dad, you're sitting here with a $12 million collection and nobody knows. I know, Kevin, and that's enough, I replied. Sunday morning came in Michigan, not Kevin's house, but a hotel where we stayed last night for breakfast. Kevin is quiet, very quiet, where he's thinking and calculating with something in his eyes. A sparkle showing a sparkle of ambition. Dad, he says finally, those cars, $12 million, that's an incredible fortune. Yes, Kevin, 40 years of saving where every penny went for the cars, I state. Dad, but you don't use them where they just sit in the garage and you come 4 times a year to look at them. Then you leave, and that doesn't make sense, he argues. Kevin, those cars aren't for driving, but for preserving history and preserving beauty, I explain. But Dad, $12 million, you could do so much with that. Buy a house, invest. You could travel, he insists. I'm happy, Kevin, where I don't need a house, and investment, cars are investment as the best investment. And travel, I don't want to travel, because I'm happy here with the cars, I reply. Kevin is angry. Dad, you're 66 years old, so how long are you going to live? 80? 90? 15 years? 20 years? Then what? Those cars will just rot there. Kevin, I have a will where those cars will be yours, and I'll leave them to you where you'll own them, I reveal. Kevin's face changed and softened. To me? Really? Yes, son. You're my only child where everything will go to you, including the house, the savings, and the cars, especially the cars, I confirm. Kevin smiled, but the smile wasn't sincere as a calculated smile. Dad, thank you, but 15 years is a long time, so maybe we should sell some now, some of them, to make money and use it well while you're alive. No, Kevin, I won't sell them because they are my life and they are not for sale, I state firmly. But Dad, he starts. Kevin, the matter is closed and the cars are not for sale, I declare. Kevin fell silent, but his eyes were still calculating and planning. That day we returned to Boston for a 9-hour drive where Kevin was quiet and I was relaxed because the cars are safe in Michigan. Friday morning came, May 24th, 2019, when Kevin was going to work while drinking coffee in a hurry. Dad, let's go back to Michigan this weekend to clean out the garage because it's dusty and dirty and it needs cleaning, he proposed. Good idea, Kevin. Let's go together where we'll wax the cars and clean them, I agreed. Kevin paused. Actually, Dad, I've been thinking where those cars take up so much space with 6 cars and a big garage, and you're in Boston, not there, so maybe we should sell some of them. Kevin, I said I won't sell them with no discussion on that, I stated. Dad, listen. Be reasonable. You're 66 years old. It's hard to get to Michigan. 9 hours on the road. Exhausting. And those cars are just sitting there. Never used, he argued. Kevin, those cars are a collection and museum pieces where they're not for sale, I insisted. Dad, I work in automotive, and I know a thing or two where those cars are old from the 1960s, so maybe they're worth $5,000 total, maximum, he claimed. I froze. What did you say? $5,000, maybe less because, Dad, they're old and dusty and nobody wants them. So maybe we'll sell them to a scrapyard for $3,000 where the garage will be empty, and maybe I'll build a gym, a home gym, he proposed. $5,000 for 6 cars, a collection worth $12 million, where Kevin says $5,000. Kevin, I told you last week, $12 million, don't you remember? I questioned. Dad, you're exaggerating because of your emotional attachment, where those cars are old junk and the real value is very little. And I work in automotive, so I know, he insisted. Kevin, you're in automotive sales where you sell new cars, but classic cars are different with vintage value and rarity value that you wouldn't know, I countered. Kevin is angry. Dad, I know. You're a retired mechanic. Are you going to know the classic car market, or am I? Kevin, those cars, I start. Dad, enough! We're going to Michigan this weekend, where I'm calling scrap dealer Johnny Martino, who's coming to look and give us a price. And we'll sell them where the garage will be empty, and this nonsense will end, he declares. I stood up. Kevin, those cars are mine, not yours. You have no right to sell them. But Dad, you're in Boston. The cars are in Michigan. You can't look at them. They're rotting there. The logical thing to do is sell them, he argues. Kevin, I'm telling you for the last time, those cars are not for sale, and they are never for sale, I shout. Kevin grabbed his bag, walked to the door, stopped, and turned around. Dad, you're old and you're confused, and I'm thinking of your best interests, where the scrap dealer is coming to look at them, and we're selling them, even without your approval. He left as the door slammed where I stood there in shock. Kevin said, even without your approval, meaning he'll sell them by force to the scrap dealer for $3,000, a $12 million collection. I picked up the phone and called my lawyer, Richard Silverman, my lawyer for 20 years. Richard, emergency where Kevin is trying to sell my cars to the scrap dealer by force. So legally, can I stop him? I asked. Frank, are the cars in your name? He questioned. Yes, in my name where I have all the paperwork, I confirmed. Then Kevin can't sell them because legally they're your property, so don't worry, he assured. But Richard, Kevin is persistent where he can force the sale, and I'm old where he can say his mind is confused and he can get guardianship, I worried. Frank, you're perfectly healthy, so do you have a doctor's report? He asked. Yes, last month with full physical where everything normal, I confirmed. Then don't worry, because Kevin can't do anything. But Frank, is the will up to date? Will the cars go to Kevin? He questioned. I paused and thought. Yes, Richard. The will is up to date where Kevin is my sole heir, and everything will go to him. Frank, if Kevin doesn't respect the cars, maybe you should change the will. So think about it, he suggested. I'll think about it, Richard. Thank you, I agreed. I hung up, sat down, and sat for a long time. The will, Kevin, the cars, $12 million where Kevin says $5,000 for scrap, showing no respect, no understanding. Just clear out the garage and I'll build a gym. Maybe Richard is right, where maybe I should change the will. Saturday morning came, May 25th, 2019, when Kevin put me in the car. Dad, we're going to Michigan where the scrap dealer is coming at 11 and we'll meet at the garage. Kevin, no, those cars, I protested. Dad, please, let's discuss it where the scrap dealer is coming to look at them and give us a price. Then we'll decide, he stated. Kevin, those cars aren't junk, I started. Dad, you're being emotional and not objective, where the scrap dealer is a professional and he'll decide, he insisted. 9 hours on the road came where Kevin is quiet, and I'm quiet, angry and very angry, but also sad because my son doesn't understand at all. Michigan came with garage at 10:55 where the scrap dealer hasn't arrived yet. Kevin is anxious as he takes out his phone and calls. Johnny, where are you? We're at the garage waiting. 5 minutes later, the truck arrives, showing an old pickup truck with rust stains and Martino Scrap and Salvage written on the side. Johnny Martino got out at maybe 50 years old, as a big man with beard and dirty t-shirt, as hardworking man and honest man where I know him from years. Kevin. Hello. You said on the phone 6 old cars, where am I buying them for scrap? He asks. Kevin smiled. Yes, Johnny. 6 cars that are old from my dad and been in the garage for years, taking up space where we want to sell them. Johnny looked at me. Mr. Donovan, is that you? Frank Donovan? Hello, Johnny. Yes, it's me, I confirm. Mr. Donovan, I know you from Vinny's auto shop. You worked there for years. You're a legendary mechanic, he exclaims. Thank you, Johnny. And you're Vinny's nephew, aren't you? I ask. Yes. Uncle Vinny always talked about you. Frank is the best mechanic and he's a master with classic cars, he'd say. Johnny confirms. Kevin interrupted. Johnny, okay, fine. But the cars, let's see them in the garage. Johnny stopped in front of the garage where the door was closed. How many cars did you say? 6, Kevin stated. Which models? Johnny questioned. I don't know where my dad didn't give me the details, just old cars from the 1960s, maybe the 1950s, Kevin replied. Johnny looked at me. Mr. Donovan, which cars? I looked at Kevin, then at Johnny. Johnny, 6 cars, but not junk, as classic, restored, and collector's items. Johnny's eyes lit up. Classic? Restored? Which ones, Mr. Donovan? Please tell me. 1967 Ferrari 275 GTB/4, 1967 Shelby GT 500, 1955 Mercedes 300 SL. Gullwing, 1961 Jaguar E-Type, 1973 Porsche 911 Carrera RS, and 1963 Corvette Stingray, split window, I listed. Johnny froze completely where his mouth hung open. What did you say? Ferrari 275? Gullwing? These aren't junk. These are legends. Kevin laughed. Johnny, you're exaggerating where they're old cars, dusty with rust stains, and my dad's emotional, so he's exaggerating. Johnny glared at Kevin. Son, you don't know anything. The Ferrari 275 GTB/4 is one of the rarest Ferraris in the world. The Shelby GT500 is a classic American muscle car. The Gullwing is Mercedes's most iconic model. But Johnny, they're old and worthless, Kevin started. Worthless? Son, these cars are worth millions. Each one is worth millions, Johnny exclaimed. Kevin laughed nervously. Johnny, you're a scrap dealer and a joker where Dad's got you in there, so don't believe it because those cars are junk. Johnny turned to me. Mr. Donovan, please, open the garage because I need to see. And if what you say is true, if those cars are really in there, this is a historical discovery. I took out the key slowly and looked at Kevin. Kevin, are you sure? Do you want to see? Yes, Dad. Open it and let's see Johnny's exaggeration, he stated. I inserted the key, turned it, and the door opened slowly where it was dark inside. Then I turned on the light. 6 tarps showing white tarps covering 6 cars, silent and waiting. Johnny stepped inside slowly and looked around at 6 tarps, white and clean. Mr. Donovan, are these 6 cars? He asked. Yes, Johnny, 6 cars where each one under a tarp for protection, I confirmed. Can I open one? The first one? He requested. Open it, Johnny. Show Kevin what junk is, I stated. Johnny approached the first tarp on the far left showing Ferrari, my queen, as he reached out, grabbed the tarp, and pulled it back slowly. Red, bright red, a 1967 Ferrari 275 GTB/4 where the sunlight hit it and it sparkled magnificently. Johnny's knees buckled for real. My God, my God, my God, this is real. A 1967 Ferrari 275 GTB/4, real. Kevin approached and looked. Johnny, what's the big deal? It's just a red car and an old one. Old? Son, this is a work of art. Ferrari's most beautiful model. V12 engine, 4 carburetors, only 150 were made. Very rare. Very valuable, Johnny exclaimed. How valuable? Kevin questioned. Johnny turned with eyes filled with tears. Son, last year at the Monterey auction, a 1967 Ferrari 275 GTB/4 was sold for $3.8 million. $3.8 million. Kevin froze. What? Impossible, this old car. This isn't an old car. This is Italian art, legendary, and Mr. Donovan's Ferrari is in perfect condition. Original paint, original engine. Maybe worth $4 million, Johnny stated. Kevin turned pale with ashen face. $4 million? For a car? Yes! And there are 5 more cars. Let's see, Johnny exclaimed. Second tarp came when Johnny ran eagerly and pulled back the tarp showing dark green 1967 Shelby GT 500 with white stripes, original and stunning. Shelby GT 500, classic, the car from the movie Eleanor, a cult car. Johnny circled around it, examining everywhere. Mr. Donovan, is this original? Original engine? Original stripes? Yes, Johnny, completely original, where built in 1967. Never modified, just restored carefully, I confirmed. This is $2.5 million, maybe more. Shelby appreciates every year, he announced. Third tarp came when Johnny was almost crying with excitement as he pulled the tarp off, showing silver. Mercedes 300 SL Gullwing, with Gullwing doors closed, but magnificent with legendary design. Johnny dropped to his knees. No, 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 Gullwing. Mercedes 300 SL Gullwing, the most iconic car in the world. I opened the door, gullwing door opening upward like angel wings. Johnny cried for real. This is a dream where I'm dreaming gullwing, the real gullwing. And what condition is it in? Perfect condition. How much, Johnny? Came Kevin's voice shaking. How much is it worth? The gullwing is $2.2 million, where maybe more in perfect condition. Maybe even 2.5 million, Johnny estimated. Kevin sat down on the floor. What did I do? I said junk, and I was going to sell it to the scrapyard. Fourth tarp showed Jaguar E-Type in British racing green as classic British car, elegant and beautiful. E-Type Series 1, the most beautiful Jaguar, $400,000. Fifth tarp showed Porsche 911 Carrera RS in yellow and white as classic racing colors. Carrera RS, 1973, original, $1.1 million. Sixth tarp showed Corvette Stingray, my first car and my first love, in red with split window from 1963. Stingray split window, classic American, $250,000. Johnny stood up and looked at Kevin sternly. Son, in this garage there's a collection worth $12 million, maybe more, where at auction it could go for 14 million. And you called it junk, saying sell it to the junkyard for $3,000, he stated. Son, if I weren't an honest man, if I had said, okay, I'll give you $3,000, you would have lost $12 million, he concluded. Kevin buried his face in his hands. I'm stupid, so stupid. Johnny turned to me. Mr. Donovan, these cars need to go to an auction house like Sotheby's, RM Auctions, or Gooding & Company because a collection of this caliber attracts worldwide attention. Thank you, Johnny, for your honesty, where you're a good man, and it's no coincidence you're Vinny's nephew, I acknowledged. Johnny smiled. Mr. Donovan, I buy junk, but this isn't junk where this is history and art that can't be sold to me, but should go to a museum or a collector to get its true value. Kevin stood up slowly and came to me. Dad, I'm so sorry, where I was stupid, and I called it junk. But you were right, because it's valuable. Very valuable. I looked at him for a long time. Kevin, you're only apologizing now because you learned its value. You learned $12 million. But Dad, he started. Kevin, if Johnny had said yes $3,000, if he hadn't been an honest man, you would have sold it without a second thought, I stated. Kevin hung his head. Yes, Dad. I would have sold it because I didn't know its value. But Kevin, I told you, I said $12 million last week, remember? I questioned. I remember, Dad, but I didn't believe you where I thought you were exaggerating emotionally, he admitted. Because Kevin, you only see monetary value with no sentimental value and no historical value, just dollar signs, I observed. Johnny left as he got into his truck. Mr. Donovan, think about it. Auction. Seriously, think about it, because these cars should be seen around the world. I'll think about it, Johnny, thank you, I replied. Kevin and I stayed in the garage alone with 6 cars where the tarps were off and all visible. Kevin spoke. Dad, I'm really sorry where I didn't know and I thought they were really junk, but you were right because they were valuable. Kevin, I'm going to ask you now and answer honestly. If the cars were worth $5,000, if Johnny had said, yes, junk, $3,000, what would you have done? I questioned. Kevin paused. I would have sold them, Dad. I would have cleared out the garage, and I would have built a gym. You see, Kevin? You only care about money where if it's $5,000, it's junk. But if it's $12 million, it's valuable, I stated. But Dad, now I know. Now I understand. Valuable. I'll protect it. I promise, he insisted. Kevin, you didn't care for it for 40 years where you never cared. And as a kid, you said, why do you mess with old cars, Dad? As a teenager, you said, it's a museum piece and I don't want it for daily use. But now you learn it's $12 million and now it's valuable, I challenged. Dad, please, I made a mistake, a big mistake, but I've learned and now I understand, he pleaded. I sat down at the Corvette, my first car, and ran my hand over the hood. Kevin, this car, 1963 Corvette, I bought it for $2,500 in 1975, where Martha said, "Take it, it's your dream." And I restored it for 10 years with every weekend and every holiday. You were born in 1978, where when you were 3 you'd say, "Daddy, play with me." But I was working on the Corvette because it was my passion and my dream, I continued. As you grew up, you drifted away saying, "Old cars are boring," where you never came to me and you didn't want to learn, and you just said, "Dad, why don't you buy a new car?" I recalled. When Martha died in 2014, you said, "Dad, live with me." But you said, "Leave those cars in Michigan," saying they take up space, and it's irrational, I stated. Now you've learned $12 million, where now you say, "Dad, they're very valuable and I'll protect them," I observed. Kevin cried, "Dad, you're right where I only saw the money. But now it's different, so please believe me because I will change." Kevin, I have a will where these cars were going to be yours, and everything was yours. But now I'm thinking that maybe you don't deserve it, I revealed. Kevin was shocked. "What?" "Dad, I'm your son, your only child." "Yes, Kevin, you're my son, but these cars aren't just an inheritance where these cars are passion, love, and labor, and you don't understand any of it where you only see dollar signs," I explained. Johnny said, "These cars should go to a museum or to the right collector," where maybe he's right, and maybe a museum is better because there thousands of people will see them and appreciate them, but you never appreciated them, I stated. Kevin panicked. "Dad, no! Please, I'll change, I promise. The cars will stay with you, I'll protect them, I promise." "Kevin, go back to Boston where I'm staying here in Michigan because I need to think," I instructed. "But Dad," he started. "Go, Kevin!" I shouted. Kevin left slowly with head bowed as the door closed. I was alone in the garage with 6 cars. I took out my phone and called Richard Silverman, my lawyer. "Richard, I'm changing the will. Urgent." "Frank, what happened?" he asked. I explained about Kevin, the scrap dealer, $3,000, Johnny's discovery, $12 million, and Kevin's shock. "Richard, Kevin only cares about money where if it's $5,000, it's trash. But if it's $12 million, it's valuable. And this is wrong, very wrong," I stated. "What are you going to do, Frank?" he questioned. "The cars will be donated to a museum, the Classic Car Museum in Detroit, where they'll be displayed and people will see them and history will be preserved," I decided. "What will Kevin get?" he asked. "A photo, Richard. A photo from 1975 showing me restoring the first Corvette that Martha took. And that photo will go to Kevin with a note. Kevin, value isn't in money, but in passion," I explained. "Frank, are you sure?" "Kevin is your son, where maybe he'll change and he'll learn," he suggested. "Richard, I showed him for 40 years where I tried to teach him, but Kevin didn't listen, and he never listened. And now he's learned $12 million where it's too late. Much too late," I stated. "Okay, Frank. I'll prepare the will where you'll sign it, and it will be legal," he agreed. November 2019 arrived. 6 months have passed where the will was signed, notarized, legal, and completely legal. Kevin called many times. "Dad, please, let's talk because I'm changing where I'm learning about classic cars. I'm reading books, and I'm researching, so please don't change the will." "Kevin, I've made my decision, and it's not changing," I stated. "But Dad," he protested. "Kevin, you didn't care for 40 years where now you've been reading for 6 months. And that's not enough because passion is for life. And you only care about the money," I explained. I made a deal with the museum, the Detroit Classic Car Museum, with director Alan Morrison. "Mr. Donovan, this is an incredible donation showing 6 legendary cars, including Ferrari, Shelby, and Gullwing, where this is the biggest donation in the museum's history, he exclaimed. Alan, I have one condition where the cars will be displayed as the Frank Donovan collection, and next to each car the story including how I found it, how I restored it, and why it's special will all be written down, I stated. Of course, Mr. Donovan. We'll even have an opening ceremony where you will be the guest of honor, he agreed. November 15th, 2019 came with opening ceremony at Detroit Classic Car Museum in Grand Hall with 200 guests. Journalists, collectors, and car enthusiasts, all there to see the 6 cars. Me as the guest of honor on the podium giving a speech. Alan Morrison introduced me. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a historic day. Frank Donovan, legendary mechanic and passionate collector, has donated 6 magnificent cars to our museum. The Frank Donovan collection showing 40 years of passion and 40 years of hard work. Now Mr. Donovan will speak. I stood on the podium and looked out at the hall with 200 people all applauding respectfully. And in the back row sat Kevin, my son Kevin, sitting alone and in tears. I began to speak. Thank you all, where these cars are my life, that started in 1975 with the first Corvette for $2,500 as a wreck. But I could see the potential, the beauty, and the history. I spent 10 years restoring it with every weekend where my family waited, and my wife Martha supported me saying, "This is your passion, so follow it," I continued. Then the other cars came, including Shelby, Ferrari, and Gullwing, where each one is a story and each one is a passion project, I stated. But my family didn't understand, where my son Kevin said, "Why are you messing with old things, Dad?" saying buy new where he never understood. I revealed. One day Kevin said, "Dad, those cars are junk. Sell them to the scrapyard," wanting $3,000 for a $12 million collection, I explained. The room was silent as everyone listened, where Kevin hung his head embarrassed. The scrap dealer came, Johnny Martino, honest guy, who lifted the tarps and saw saying, "This isn't junk, this is legendary, $12 million. Where Kevin was shocked, I continued. That day I understood that Kevin only cares about money with no passion, no history, just dollar signs, I stated. That's why I decided these cars go to the museum, where here thousands of people will see them, students will learn, and enthusiasts will appreciate them. But Kevin never appreciated them, and you will, I declared. To Sophia and David, may your marriage be rich in the things that truly matter, including love, respect, integrity, and the wisdom to know that the most valuable things in life cannot be bought, sold, or thrown away because they live in our hearts forever, I concluded. And to Tony Rodriguez, who is here today, thank you for showing us that second chances, honest work, and humble gratitude create more value than any amount of money ever could, I added. The room erupted in applause as standing ovation came, with 200 people all standing respectfully, with long applause. Kevin stood up too while crying loudly. The ceremony ended as we moved to the exhibition showing 6 cars on display, where each one on its own platform with lights, license plates, and story. Next to the Ferrari, the plate read, 1967 Ferrari 275 GTB/4, found by Frank Donovan in 1982, with restoration time of 8 years and value of $3.8 million, where Frank's note states, "When I first saw this car, I fell in love with red beauty and Italian elegance, where every bolt was tightened with love." Next to the Shelby, 1967 Shelby GT 500, found in 1982 with restoration of 6 years and value of $2.5 million, showing American power and muscle car spirit, where every gas is heartbeat. Every car's story and every car's soul, where I wrote it down. I wrote them all down. Kevin came up to me. "Dad, this is amazing, where every car has story and your story." "Yes, Kevin, my story as a 40-year story that you didn't know any of because you never asked," I stated. "Dad, I wish I could have seen it through your eyes and seen your passion, but I only saw old metal," he confessed. "Kevin, I showed you for 40 years, but you didn't want to see, and now everyone sees it in the museum. But you lost it, I observed. Kevin bowed his head. I know, Dad. I lost it where I lost $12 million. But more importantly, I lost the bond with you, the bond of passion, and the bond between father and son. December 2020 arrived. A year has passed since the opening where I'm still in Michigan in small apartment, and I didn't go back to Boston because Kevin didn't want me to anymore, where he understood I wasn't coming back. I became a volunteer guide at the museum 3 days a week on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, where I tell visitors about the cars and tell stories. Here's the Ferrari 275, my queen, where I found it in 1982 on a farm in a barn under hay, where the owner didn't know its value and I paid $8,000. Then I restored it for 8 years, and now it's worth $3.8 million, I explain. The kids listen with eyes lighting up. Mr. Donovan, you found the real thing? A Ferrari in a barn? Yes, kids. I found the real thing because I knew what I was looking for, where passion gives you eyes to see, I state. Kevin comes sometimes, once a month, where he watches from a distance and listens to me when I talk to visitors. One day in March 2021, Kevin came up to me. Dad, can we talk? Of course, Kevin, sit down, I agreed. We got coffee at the museum cafe in a quiet corner. Dad, I've been thinking for a year where I've been reading about classic cars, watching auctions, and watching restoration videos, and I understand your passion, he stated. Good, Kevin. You're learning late, but you're learning, I acknowledged. Dad, can I ask you something? If we could turn back time, if I had been interested when I was a kid, if I had restored cars with you, would everything be different? He questioned. I paused and thought long and hard. Yes, Kevin, it would be very different where you would understand my passion and understand that cars aren't just metal, but have a soul, and maybe the will would be different. But Dad, is it too late now? Can't I learn now? He asked. Kevin, passion isn't learned where passion is innate. And either you have it or you don't. And you didn't have it for 40 years. So now you've seen $12 million, and now you have it, I challenged. Kevin was silent where he couldn't answer. Kevin, I'm not angry with you, where I'm just sad because you missed out. You missed out on the father-son bond. You missed out on 40 years of shared passion, and you missed out on $12 million, I stated. But most importantly, you missed out on passion because, Kevin, money is temporary, where today, 12 million and tomorrow, 6 million. But passion is permanent, where it lasts in the soul, I concluded. Kevin cried, Dad, you're right where I missed everything. And now there's no making up for it, so the will isn't changing, is it? No, Kevin, it's not changing where the cars will stay in the museum forever, and there they will be appreciated, but you never appreciated them, I confirmed. Kevin stood up. I understand, Dad, and I accept it. But I want one thing where let me come sometimes to listen to you while you're guiding, because maybe I'll learn, even if it's late, what passion is. I smiled. Come, Kevin. Come anytime because the door is open, and maybe you won't learn passion, but you'll learn respect and you'll learn history, and that's enough. Today, December 2024, 5 years have passed since the opening where I'm still volunteering at the museum 3 days a week, and I'm happy, very happy, because the cars are safe and protected where thousands of people see them and appreciate them while students learn. Mr. Donovan, I'm going to restore classic cars too, just like you. Wonderful kid, do it with passion, not for money, but for passion, I encourage. Kevin still comes once a month where he sits in the back row, listens, and learns as a slow learner, but he's learning. The museum has become renowned where the Frank Donovan collection attracts visitors from around the world, including collectors, historians, and young enthusiasts. Last month, a young man approached me after a tour, Marcus, 23 years old. Mr. Donovan, your story changed my life where I was working in finance making good money. But after hearing about your 40-year passion, I quit my job and enrolled in automotive restoration school. That's wonderful, Marcus. Follow your passion and never let money be the only reason, I advised. Mr. Donovan, can I ask you something? Do you regret giving away $12 million? He questioned. I looked at the 6 cars on display, gleaming under the lights, each one telling its story. Marcus, I didn't give away $12 million. I invested it in something far more valuable. What's that, sir? He asked. Legacy, education, and inspiration, where these cars will outlive me. They'll inspire thousands of people like you, and they'll preserve history for generations, and that's worth far more than $12 million in a bank account, I explained. Kevin was sitting in the back row listening where tears streamed down his face. After the visitors left, Kevin approached. Dad, I heard what you said to that young man, and I finally understand. Understand what, Kevin? I asked. That you didn't lose $12 million. You invested it in something I never valued. The future, the passion, and the legacy, he stated. I'm proud of you, Kevin, for finally understanding, even if it took 5 years, I acknowledged. Dad, I know the will won't change and I accept that, but I want to do something, he proposed. What is it? I questioned. I want to establish the Martha Donovan Scholarship for young people who want to study automotive restoration but can't afford it, and I'll fund it, from my own money, to honor Mom, who supported your passion when no one else did, he explained. My eyes filled with tears. Kevin, that's the most beautiful thing you've ever said, and your mother would be so proud. It's the least I can do, Dad, to honor her memory and your legacy, he stated. The scholarship was established 6 months later, where the first recipient was Marcus, the young man who quit finance to follow his passion. At the scholarship ceremony, Kevin gave a speech. My father taught me the hardest lesson of my life by taking away a $12 million inheritance, and for years I was angry and bitter, but now I understand. He taught me that value isn't measured in dollars but in passion, dedication, and legacy, and this scholarship honors my mother Martha, who believed in passion over profit, and my father Frank, who lived it, he declared. I sat in the audience watching my son finally understanding what I tried to teach him for 40 years. After the ceremony, Kevin and I stood in front of the Ferrari 275 GTB/4, my queen, gleaming under the museum lights. Dad, I have a confession, Kevin stated. Every month when I come here, I don't just listen to your tours, but I also apologize to each car for calling them junk and for almost destroying them. That's good, Kevin. Acknowledging mistakes is the first step to growth, I observed. Dad, I know I'll never own these cars and I've accepted that, but can I ask one favor? He requested. What is it? I asked. When you're gone, can I continue volunteering here as a guide? I want to tell your story, tell visitors about the man who valued passion over money and legacy over wealth, he proposed. I hugged my son for the first time in years. Kevin, that's all I ever wanted, for you to understand and to carry on the passion. Today I'm 71 years old, 5 years older than when this story began, where I volunteer at the museum, watch young people discover their passion, and see Kevin slowly becoming the son I always hoped he'd be. The Frank Donovan collection has been valued at over $15 million now, as classic car values continue to rise. But that number means nothing to me. What matters is the young woman from Japan who flew here to see the gullwing because her grandfather worked at Mercedes and told her stories about this legendary car. What matters is the 10-year-old boy who visits every Saturday and can now identify every component of the Ferrari engine because passion has no age limit. What matters is Kevin sitting in the back row every month, no longer the son who saw junk, but the son who sees legacy. One day Kevin asked, "Dad, do you ever wonder what would have happened if Johnny Martino hadn't been honest? If he had bought the cars for $3,000? Every day, Kevin, and every day I thank God for honest people like Johnny, who value integrity over profit," I replied. "Dad, I'm sorry," Kevin stated for the 1,000th time. "Kevin, stop apologizing and start living the lesson, because apologies are words, but actions are legacy," I advised. Last week, a major collector offered the museum $25 million to buy the collection, where the museum director, Alan Morrison, called me. "Frank, they're offering $25 million, and technically the cars are museum property now, but ethically I want your input." "Alan, remember what I said when I donated them. These cars are for everyone, not for one wealthy collector to hide in a private garage. So tell them no amount of money can buy what's already priceless," I stated. "I knew you'd say that, Frank, and I agree completely," he confirmed. The offer was declined, where the Frank Donovan collection remains at the Detroit Classic Car Museum for everyone to see. Kevin heard about the offer. "Dad, the museum could have made you a consultant fee or something. You could have earned millions." "Kevin, I don't need millions where I need to know that a kid from a poor family can walk into that museum and stand in front of the Ferrari and dream, just like I dreamed 50 years ago," I explained. Last month, Martha's birthday came, and Kevin and I visited her grave together for the first time in years. "Hi, Mom," Kevin spoke to the headstone. "I finally understand why you supported Dad's crazy obsession with old cars. And Dad was right. I was wrong, and I'm sorry it took me so long to see it." I placed flowers on her grave. "Martha, our son finally learned the lesson, and your legacy lives on through the scholarship, and the cars you supported are inspiring thousands. So rest peacefully, my love, because everything worked out exactly as it should have." As we walked away from the cemetery, Kevin asked, "Dad, one more question. If you could do it all over again, knowing Kevin would call them junk and try to sell them for scrap, would you still restore them?" "Absolutely, Kevin. Because the journey was the reward, not the destination. And even though you didn't see it then, you see it now. And that makes every bolt I tightened, every panel I painted, and every dollar I spent absolutely worth it," I stated. "Thank you, Dad, for not giving up on me even when I gave up on your passion," he said. "Kevin, I never gave up on you. I just gave the cars to someone who would appreciate them, everyone. And ironically, by losing the inheritance, you gained something far more valuable. You gained understanding," I concluded. Today, as I stand in the museum watching visitors admire the 6 cars under the Frank Donovan collection banner, I realize that Kevin was right about one thing. These cars were junk when I found them. But through passion, dedication, and love, junk became art, rust became beauty, and worthless became priceless. And isn't that the greatest lesson of all? That value isn't in what something is, but in what it becomes through love and dedication. The $12 million in the garage was never about money. It was always about passion. And now that passion lives forever in the hearts of thousands who visit the museum. Kevin learned his lesson the hard way by losing $12 million, but he gained something infinitely more valuable. He learned what truly matters. And that, dear friends, is worth more than all the Ferraris in the world. If you liked this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts about this story in the comments. Click on the box on the left to listen to the next story.